son that you met, him and that girl didn't work out.
Yeah.
But
And do you have a daughter too?
I have a younger daughter. This is my middle daughter. She used to come to the women's forum.
Oh yeah? You remember me?
Yeah.
Amazing. So everybody grew up.
They're all grown up.
Every time every time the man listens to the woman, he's going to suffer, but yet men following the women around.
Levi's one of those guys, he has to suffer. He will not.
All men do.
Yeah,
They just don't know how to deal with the woman.
they don't. I met you a little bit too late in life.
Well, let them suffer, yeah.
He's going to have to suffer a bit.
Oh, you still have your business?
Yep, so my business, I'm so busy down there. It's crazy how busy I am down there.
Right on, man.
Really good. Everything's good.
So it wouldn't pay if we moved to Texas because y'all talk to my friend. Huh? I gotta get this up. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Are we
Good
streaming?
morning.
Do we need someone on camera so they don't
Working,
tune
I'm
away?
moving.
Don't leave. We're starting here. Don't leave. Jesse's coming.
Huh?
I'm just telling
That's
people
Nick.
not to leave.
Did y'all see Nick, Mama? And sister? Anybody see them? Nick has a family, like a real family. Isn't that amazing? Okay, I'm ready. Well, good to see you, man. Good morning, welcome to Fellowship. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. You can get involved by going to our YouTube chat line and Hake. You remember Hake? Oh, he's not there. I don't remember him either over there. Hake will pass on your questions and comments to me, all right? Everything fine, Bill? Okay. So good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
I had to put one in because I've been talking so much. I had to talk at a meeting yesterday, and so that's why I had to put a cough drop. Any questions, comments, anything? Yes, Raymond.
I talked to my sister about your service and told them it was roughly about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. I don't know.
Never tell them that.
Huh?
Never tell them that.
Never tell them that. Why?
Lie and say it's 30 minutes and then they'll come.
Well, she was rather surprised it lasted this long. I think her services probably roughly last half that time.
All right, thanks. That was worth the interruption. Anybody here first time? What's your name and how do you hear about us?
My name is Pierre, and I've been watching the video on YouTube for a really long time. I think for 3-4 years already. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank
Where are you
you.
from?
Italy, but I'm living in Singapore.
You from Italy, but you're living in Singapore?
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome,
I've been
man.
there for the past 7 years.
Right on.
It's nice.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And your name? This your first time?
Second time.
Your second time?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay.
here once for 2 years ago. I bought a book and you signed for Piet.
Nice. Okay.
Right.
Any questions, comments, or anything? So y'all just came to hear again and not to bring. Okay. So let me do this before I get down to business here. Some of you know I have an amazing producer, sit by God, truly sit by God. And God sent him here from the woods. He is a deer killer, animal hunting, house building, dirt toting, growing cotton kind of a guy. And so he came and he was a producer for a while and did just a beyond amazing job. And now because of his family and his family old, and other stuff, he land and all that stuff, he had to go back home. And so what I want him to do, he doesn't know it yet, he hate this kind of stuff, literally hate it. He's gonna come up and talk to you guys for about 10 or 15 minutes, you guys can hear him to say goodbye, and then take some questions, whatever. I introduced to some of you for the first time Sean, my producer, one of the experts on the Jesse Peterson show. And then that's a sorry applause.
Good enough for me.
But like, if we have to. Should I have him sit down so he can be seen on camera? Okay. For about 10 or 15 minutes, Sean. I'll let you know when.
All righty. Hello.
I'll put this here so you don't look at my pad.
All right. Well, I'm very grateful for.
This Friday is last day.
Yeah, I am heading back to New Jersey. That's where I'm from originally, northern Jersey. Dirty Jersey, as some people will call it. Just really grateful for this opportunity. I didn't know what to expect coming out here. I definitely didn't expect having a job like this, like while growing up. It wasn't even in my vision. Yeah, for various reasons, I gotta head back home, and I've learned a lot from the crew and from all of you. Growing up, I always really wanted an insight into human experience and what people are going through. And between the calls on the show and coming to church and the men's forum, I got pretty much exactly that. So I'm just really grateful. I know it was short. Coming out here, I didn't know whether I was going to stay 10 days or 10 years or anything like that, but it was awesome. When I first started listening to Jesse, I stopped listening to everyone else who I had been listening to, various names who you would recognize, and something about the way he spoke about, Christianity and family and everything just rang true. Immediately, I stopped listening to everybody else. And I think, referring to God as the Father is a big part of it. And that linking up with the whole order just brought so much clarity for me on so many different things. I started finally understanding what happened to me. And the biblical question I came up with was, can you ever really know another person? And I thought about that because I was thinking about my parents, and I was like, before I was born, they did things that I'll just never know. Even after I was born, they just have been through things that I'll never know about. And I know we're not our experiences, but still, even just their spiritual position in life is just something I just feel like I don't have access. And that's true of everybody I've ever met, So that's what led me to that biblical question. And yeah, I'm still overcoming. Obviously, I've gotten a lot better at catching the thoughts and catching that voice in my head that tells me to worry. But I've gotten definitely just glimpses that it's that whole perfect peace is absolutely, positively possible. Perfect peace, and that's not something. Even my dad, actually, when I was talking to him last time I was back home, he said, he's a wild guy. He's been through a lot. He's been through a lot of different. He's had several lifetimes in one lifetime. And he was like, I never considered that perfect peace was possible on earth, while we live. He just never was told that. He never thought of that as a possibility growing up. And so, yeah, it's just, it's special to me to be able to come out here and do something that meant a lot to me, and then have people back home respond to it too, and find out what they think about the whole message. And oh my God, I didn't even see you sitting there.
Because I'm so black.
Blended in. It's appeared.
There's no light on me.
But yeah, you know, I've been through, you know, definitely some ups and downs. By the time I was 18, I felt like I had been through it all. Like I felt like I had been through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and at 18. And at that point, I was a late bloomer as far as like, you know, let's say rebellion and like, you know, partying a little bit. Like, you know, I didn't like have my first beer until I was like 18. So that's a late bloomer from where I come
beer?
from. Yeah.
Did you say beer?
Yeah, I settled on
father's
beer.
listening.
Yeah, I settled on beer. But yeah, so at 18, I really felt like I had been through all like the ups and downs. Like I was like, what more is there than this, you know? And then I went to college, and for 4 years, and the first 2 years of college, I found out that there were higher highs than I thought were possible, and lower lows that I thought were possible. You know, you go to college, you rebel, you get into all types of different crazy stuff. Not you, me. I'm talking about me. And then the second 2 years of college, I lived in a studio apartment by myself, and I got, you know, just got my degree and didn't go out, didn't talk to anybody. And then after college, I went to New York City to work backstage on Broadway shows. And couple things that Jesse said right off the bat that just stuck with me. He said, you know, we are not the sum of all of our highs and lows. We're more than that. You know, that was big. And he said, when you love other people, you let them suffer, which was like mind-blowing at the time. When I first heard that, I was like, no one else says that. You know, you don't hear that at other churches. You don't hear that from your parents. And it's so true. It's just so true. And so one of the biggest things I learned was that, you know, you really can't convince people of other things. And the more you try to do that, the more defensive they'll actually get, and you're actually making the situation worse. Like Jesse says, the God will give you the right words at the right time. If it's meant to be for you to change their mind on things, he'll give you the right words. But if you try to force it, you're actually making the situation worse. So if you have advice for somebody else, and you give them that advice and you point them in the right direction, if they reject it, anything more you say after they reject it is really making the situation worse, because they will hold on to it just for the ego feeling of them being right. So I dealt with that a bunch, you know, with trying to change other people. But once you move on from that, things get a lot better. And there was something else I wanted to mention. I just thought of it a second ago that I learned. And it has something to do with letting go. And it's hard to put into words, but I called into Nick's show like a while back, and I tried to put it into words, and I'm still trying to, and it's difficult, but I'm starting to see that I can't help myself, and it's something like this, you know. If you, like I've done some things around the office, I've done some like painting and moving around of furniture and stuff, and I'm starting to see that it's not even a decision. Like if you see something is possible and you see that it can be done, there's a point at which you then see that you can't help yourself and it's going to happen. Like it's not a choice anymore. You can go back, you can do the pros and cons. Should I do A? Should I do B? But for me, I'm starting to notice when that switch happens where I just know that this is what I'm going to do. It was the same with coming out here. As soon as, you know, I applied for the job, and Jesse called me and said, yeah, it's open, and we'd like to have you. It wasn't even a decision. It was like, oh, okay, I'm driving out to California now. It wasn't, I wasn't going back and forth with it. And noticing that has really helped, because it's prevented me from judging myself. It's prevented me from thinking about things in terms of right and wrong. It's more just thinking about, not even thinking about it. It's more just noticing. You know, you see what's about to happen. You see what kind of choice you're about to make, and then you just can't help yourself. You find yourself doing that thing. And man, I wouldn't even be able to, you know, recognize, like, if I were able to talk to 18-year-old me and say the things that I'm saying now, he would be like, what are you talking about? Like, what? He would completely misunderstand me or just completely not understand me at all. And that's pretty wild to think about, because now I look back at my past and I'm, like you say, it almost doesn't seem real, you know? But you know, we say, Jesse says, we're all pretty much on the same page, we're all in the same boat, everyone's going through the same thing. And from what I've experienced, you know, it's tough to put your finger on what that thing is. Like if you were to say, oh yeah, everyone is going through the same thing, what is that thing that everyone's going through? Jesse calls it the fallen state. We're all in a fallen state, right? Everyone needs to return to the Father. Everyone needs to overcome. And another way of putting it for me is that everyone's going through the same thing, in that everyone is lost in their thoughts. Everyone's believing their thoughts. Everyone who calls into the show, everyone who shares at church or the forums, the common thread that I see is that everyone is just believing their thoughts, and it gets you into all sorts of different trouble. But like I said on the show the other day, you know, if you say that you believe in God, if you have faith, you know, if you trust God, then there really is no excuse. Like, there's no reason to believe a thought ever. You know they're lies. You know they take you up. You know they take you down. So if you say you believe in God, you say you trust God, then there's really no reason to believe the thoughts of regret or the thoughts of loneliness or the thoughts of I'll never have enough of this, that, or the other thing, or I'm not as good as him. As soon as you believe one, then you're admitting that you don't trust God. And I'm not saying I don't do that. I certainly do. I'm getting better at catching them. But, you know, another thing that I really appreciate is, like, hearing the different shows from the guys, you know, Nick, James, and Joel. And if, let's say something happens in the news and they all cover it, they all cover the same thing, to hear them all, it's not even, like, they are different perspectives, but just to hear the different tones of each person, you know, the different, like, speech patterns and the different tones and the different sense of humor in some cases and the different insights, like, we have a, you know, sort of a running joke that you know, sometimes we give Bond answers, like stock Bond answers, like everyone gives the same answer. But it's really not, I haven't found that to be the case, really, because even if you do say the same thing, you say it in just a slightly subtle different ways that tell you things about what they're really trying to say. And it's just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing to see different people do the same things with it. And it's just, you know, to watch other people grow, and it's amazing to see. I guess we could, anyone have any questions so far that I can answer?
Yeah, man. You brought some unique style to the show.
Thanks.
I'm kind of cultured and stuff. Do you think that was necessary, or is it going to need that after?
I mean, I'm really not too worried about it, you know? Whoever, you know, I always thought of my job as trying to bring the best out of Jesse. Whatever I did was aimed toward that, towards bringing the best out of him. And, you know, he's going to bring the best out of himself no matter what is put in front of him. You know what I mean? And actually, that was another thing I was just going to bring up, is that something I still don't quite understand is, obviously, I was listening to Jesse for, like, I don't know, 3 years before I got here, 2 or 3 years before I even got here. So I've heard him say the same phrase. Let's just say, I don't know, yeah, all thoughts are all lies all the time. I've heard him say that probably like 1,000 times, maybe 2,000 times. But sometimes if I'm in the men's forum, especially in person, you know what I mean? If I'm in the men's forum and hearing other people talk about it and then I'll hear him say it in a different way or a different tone, and on the 1,000th time of hearing him say it, it'll click for me in a different way than it has ever before. Maybe because I'm in a different place, you know? But that's pretty bizarre to me, that you can hear someone say something 1,000 times. Because I know some of you, I don't know, but I assume some of you here in church, like I do sometimes, I'll hear him say this, you know, the same phrase, and I'll go like, yeah, you know, I've heard it 1,000 times. But then 1,001, it like hits me differently, and I go, oh, that's what that means. I thought I knew what that meant, but now I know that that's what that means.
And sometimes you say some things, and he seems like completely out of it.
Yeah, and something I noticed about Jesse versus myself, I still will speak on things that I don't know anything about. You know what I mean? Jesse doesn't do that. Jesse, you know, when he comments on things, he speaks from a place where he's been through. Like he won't talk about things he doesn't know about, and that's rare to see. You know, it's rare to see someone who won't talk about things that they don't know about. If he, you know, he talks about things he knows for sure to be true, that he's been through, that he's seen, and if he hasn't, he won't touch it. So most people will just make something up, including myself. But anybody else? Yeah.
So I just want to say, Sean, you've made such a meaningful contribution in a short period of time. So what I'm about to say next is definitely indicative of the fact that I need to overcome. But in my opinion, I feel like you need to be a voice for this culture. And my question to you is, and I know you probably haven't thought, well, I'm not going to, all thoughts are all lies all the time. Have you thought about, like, is there a way that you could do something remotely, or have you thought about doing your own thing? No.
No, I haven't. And I'll be honest, I don't feel any like shame about that or anything. I have so many things to work on in myself, you know what I mean? And part of my, I mean, look, there's so many like practical reasons for me heading back east, but one of the more, I don't know, abstract, like spiritual reasons is because I firmly believe that if more people like focused more locally as possible in their own town, in their own household, in their own body and overcoming, it would be a better place, you know what I mean? So I've shared a lot about myself and a lot about what I've found and like certain insights, but I really got to like focus on myself, you know, I really do.
I understand.
And that's enough for me. Like, I don't feel shame about doing that and not trying to help other people.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree, and you shouldn't. The last thing I want to mention is I appreciate you bringing up that segment. Remember on Edgar Allan Poe? Was it Edgar Allan Poe? Where you all had that discussion on the writer?
It might have been Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah, it might have
That's
been Ernest
it.
Hemingway.
That's
yeah.
it. Thanks to you, I resurrected that book, and I read it, and it's like a book of short stories. I read it in such a different way.
Right.
And it so relates in many ways to exactly what I'm here doing. So
Yep.
thank you for all of that. Thank you
Yeah.
for your contribution, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much. Now, one more thing about Ernest Hemingway that I didn't get in too deeply on the show, but is so important, is how like he defined what it meant to write in a masculine voice. You know, he doesn't write about it, long passages about his feelings and about thinking about the future and the past. It's just all present moment. Here's what happens. Bing, bang, boom. Nouns, very few adjectives, nouns, verbs, and dialogue. You know, and he managed to make that deep enough. They call it the iceberg theory. So what you see on the page is only like an eighth of what the meaning is behind it. So through various, you know, musical ways in which he deals with just nouns, verbs, and dialogue, you get, you know, they say that you only get out of a novel, same true in life, I guess, but you only get out of a novel what you bring to a novel, you know? You only get out of a reading what you bring to the reading. So if you read like with your brain like on fire and you ask questions and you're like really engaged, that's how much you're going to get out of it. And so he sort of like forces that out of people, and people don't like it because they don't want to do the work. You know. Yeah. And me and the gentleman over there were before church. We're talking about how feminine churches have become, not just in allowing female preachers, but in the touching each other and singing and dancing. It's all very feminine, and it's much more, in my opinion, it's much more masculine to deal with things within yourself. Keep it local, and don't talk about it. That's what fathers used to do. You just keep it local and you don't talk about it. Go ahead.
Are you talking about a specific book with the
Ernest Hemingway?
Yeah.
All of his writing and the style is so consistent. Like you could pick up any of his books, read a paragraph, and know it's him. And so I wouldn't want to mention any specific book, but any of them, really. Raymond? I think I'm about past time, so we'll do the last question.
Pardon me, it was you that brought up the biblical question. Can we know other people?
Yeah, can you ever really know another person?
Yes. Well, I'd have a perfectly good answer for that, but I probably will save it until Jesse comes.
All right. And here he is.
Hold on to that.
Okay.
Oh, amazing. You about to cry, Daryl? Daryl about to cry.
Don't cry for me. I'll be calling into your show every day.
We're going to be seeing a lot of them on the show this week since he's leaving. You want to go away now or what?
Yes. Run home like Forrest Gump.
Amazing. So I do want to respond to his question about can you ever really know another person? We had started talking about that question in the meeting a couple weeks ago, and it just went off the chain, so I ended it. I'm like, stop it. See, people were saying all kinds of things, so I wanted you all to think about it more. Can you ever really know another person? And some people said all kinds of stuff. But I understand. But insane. Some of it. And some people even said, yes, you can know a person if you know yourself. How many people believe that? Nobody know? If you know yourself, it's possible to know another person. He has his hand. Sean's father made us all a microphone from the old school. That's what you call it, right, Sean?
Yeah, the little golden mics with the names on them.
Yeah, golden mic. He is as talented as his father is. His daddy passed it on to him. Really. Sean, everything that needed to be done around here, he did it without even asking him to do it. The floor, what they did doing the floors. The pictures, everything. None of us would do it, we're too lazy. He would just do it without even asking. I'm like, wow, that's from the old school. But anyway, you believe that by knowing yourself, you can know another person?
I do.
Okay, and why do you believe that?
Because, so if you can look at it two different ways. If you're looking at it in like a secular, worldly way, ego type of way, you don't know anything. But if you truly look within, you see the evil that's within you, then you can recognize that in everyone else. So on a spiritual level, you can absolutely know another person.
Oh,
you can
okay.
know. So that's how I look at it.
All right. Anybody else believe that? Are you raising your hand? They're doing like this. You had your hand?
I have my hand up.
You believe that if you know yourself, you can know another person?
That has to be true, because I
And
know
why?
some things about myself, and that's true about everybody, because I don't judge them about it.
But the question is, do you believe that if you knew yourself, you could know another person?
Yes,
You do? And why?
because I know some things about myself. And those are true about everybody. So if I just finished that work, I guess, and know myself totally, I would know that about everybody.
Oh, okay. You raise your hand? Okay. You believe if you know yourself, you can know other people?
Yeah, now that a lot of people aren't raising their hand, I do think that is it.
So now?
Yes.
And why do you believe that?
Because I think, yeah, we are fundamentally all the same. So, yeah.
Okay. And who don't believe it? That if you know yourself, you can know another person.
I want to say something about that before.
Okay. You believe that you can...
Well, I just had a thought that Christ knew himself, right? And he knew everybody as his brother or sister, and he knew them because he knew himself.
Oh, okay.
So it's possible, maybe.
Okay. Because I got so much to get to, who else don't believe that knowing yourself would allow you to know another person? Did you ask? And why is that, Sean?
Well, this is going to sound like one of those Bond answers, but there's no self to know. Like, you're either one with the Father or you're not. There's no self is like one of those concepts where once you start considering that there might be a self, it just gets all confusing, and it takes away the simplicity of it. I would disagree that Jesus knew himself, but he did know the Father perfectly. He did the Father's will perfectly. So there's no self there.
Oh, okay. Well, to move on from this, you can never know another person. Because people, God said we can't know another person's heart. And people put on a scam about anything. They'll pretend, like that question about, yes, if you know yourself, you can know other. It's true that if you know yourself, you can know other, but it doesn't mean you know the person. It's just that means that now that you understand what's driving you, the hell in you that's driving you, it helps you to understand that's what's driving the other person. But that doesn't mean that you know that person. And the reason I want to really bring that up because I want you to be aware of all this, because I don't want you all using the same answer for everything. You got to grow. You grow in wisdom when you work on yourself, when you stay with it. And that way you don't just use the same answer for everything. We don't know another person's heart. Married couples don't know each other's heart because they put on acts to try to get what they want from one another. You don't even know the person you're marrying because during the dating series, both parties lie to each other. I love you, you love me. I buy some cornbread for you, you buy a watermelon for me. And that feels like love. You know what I mean? So, and the reason I want to just make that point because I want you to stay present so you always know what's right and what's wrong. But we don't know another person. We don't know their hearts. People can say, oh, I went and forgave my mama, and they go and forgive their mother or father, but yet they have hatred in their heart and they try to hide it. They didn't really mean it. So just FYI. And then I want to tell you this real fast. Oh, one other thing, more than one, but one. As Sean mentioned earlier, do what you want, of course. As of this day, when you wake up, you go and forgive, and all of a sudden that load been lifted away from you. Don't go and tell anyone. The devil's telling you, oh, you are free. You got to go and tell it. You got to give the world what you have. You got to let them know. And you run and tell it, and you're telling it to people who hate the truth. You're telling to the devil, and those people are going to try to destroy you. They're not going to be with you. It won't. And the reason I bring this up again, because I'm hearing more and more in my counseling sessions, where people they just woke up and they were so happy, they went to work and they were talking about forgiveness and forgiving their parents and all that kind of stuff. And this particular person, whatever today is, Thursday, told me that they lost their job because the people at work turned on them. They thought, oh, he think he's better, he's always preaching. And he was like, I was just trying to help. I'm like, you can't help. God only allowed those who want to see the truth to receive the truth. He's not going to give it to anyone that doesn't want it. And you have to really want it. And so with your family members and your relationships, your job, just be quiet and work on you. And if God wants you to tell somebody, He'll put that person or people in your space, your place in right there, and He will use your mouth to talk to them in the right way. And you will find the right words to say. It'll come just like the devil be using you, God will use you too. But do what you want, but I recommend you not do it. Just because somebody says, oh, I'm so angry and frustrated, that doesn't mean you got to run over and tell them they got to forgive their mama. All right? That makes sense? Yes.
Like that exact thing happened to me. Like when I first was introduced to you, I was all excited and I was telling everybody, and nobody was listening, and I was getting frustrated by it. But now I don't say anything unless someone comes to me. Yeah. And what's crazy is now people come all the time and ask me questions, but I don't say anything until they ask first now, ever. Like I never just try to sell it. I'm like, if they ask a question, I'll give them a Jesse, but not until they ask the question. And it's so much better that way. And the other way was just my ego, I realized. Like that I just wanted to go fix everybody, and I found something cool, look at this. Yeah. But yeah, 2 years later, it took about 2 years to settle down, and then now it's good.
That's right, man. So do what you want, but even God, Christ said to the man that He healed, okay, you're healed, go and tell nobody. Keep it to yourself. The man without telling everybody. We haven't seen him since. So, and I know that, and it is ego. The ego said, Satan said, go out and tell somebody. Tell your family, tell this. Satan is setting you up. That's the devil telling you to run out and tell somebody. It's like the Bible thumpers. When they thump the Bible, they got to tell everybody. They're all up out in the streets telling everybody. Nobody cares. And then they ask, well, you want something to eat? Yeah, I want something to eat. And they'll give you food to eat, thinking they're going to give me the Bible. So cut it out. One other quick thing. Yesterday I was watching this documentary. I didn't finish it yet, and I will finish. It was so deep. It was just deep, 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 deep. And it was a documentary of the third, according to the report, I may have some of the information wrong, it was the third U.S. FBI spy for Russia. Anybody ever heard of that? The third man that ever became the spy for Russia and worked and was a U.S. citizen. He was a member of the FBI. His story was so deep, I was captivated with the TV. And I just happened to, I watch this channel sometimes that shows stories about people's lives. I forgot what it's called. What?
Biography or Lifetime?
No. It's another one. Do you remember the one I told you about, Hake? Reelz. Sometimes Reelz show the story of people too, but now they're doing police stuff. But in this spy life story was just like all of our life story. It was no different. He had a father and a mother. They grew up the best they could. They were white. They had, he grew up hating his father. Literally hated his father. And yet he tried to please his father. And everything that he did, according to the story, his father would never agree with it. He didn't say, well, you did a fine job. You went to college. You did everything. And instead of taking one type of career, he became an FBI because his father was a police officer. And so for a while, he became a police officer. His father never, like, right on, son, I'm proud of you. So he became an FBI. And he moved up the rank in the FBI. As a matter of fact, he was one of the first guys that helped set up the computer system in the FBI department. And so he was doing all these things, and they said about him that in all the work that he was doing, eventually it became a thrill for him. And so by becoming a thrill, he kept moving up the ranks, but he was never happy. he moved from New York to D.C. He just went all the way, but he was never happy. And so he constantly looked for more thrills to make himself happy. And then until eventually, and then in college, he met a beautiful woman. And everybody, well, all his friends in college were surprised he had a beautiful woman. So they were like, he's not that pretty. He's not that handsome. But he had a beautiful woman. He had everything. But he was never satisfied. And then he decided to become a spy for Russia, the Soviet Union. Soviet, yeah. And long story short, and I'm still watching it, he ended up turning in three of the Russian spies that were working for America. He found out that they were working for America. He turned them over back to Russia, and they ended up killing them, those guys, while they were in jail. And so there's much more to the story. I'm still watching it. But my point is, his life is just like all of ours. Hating the parents first. You got to stop hating. You got to drop the anger, because you will become like what you hate. There's no way around it. And you will not be yourself. I don't care what you think. As long as you have hatred in your heart, if you don't go and forgive your mother and your father, both parents are important to forgive. I want to say especially mother, because you have her nature, but especially father too. You cannot have anger. All right? And so I'm going to finish this story, if the Lord is willing and the creek don't rise, and I'll tell you more next week. All right? Any question? Because I have a question. Yes, Sean.
Where did the disciples stand when they went out and spoke, told different people about Jesus and told people about his message and what they saw and what they went through? I mean, obviously they all died for it, right? They were all killed for it.
Right.
So was that a mistake for them to do that? Did they go about it the wrong way by going out? And
they were excited too.
Yeah.
And they did it to people that didn't want to hear it. And it's interesting in that some of the disciples didn't even know who Jesus was anyway.
Right.
They were with him, they walked with him, but they did not know who he was. Isn't that amazing?
Right.
A lot of people listened to him on the roadside, by the mountain, wherever he went, but they walked away. They didn't know who he was. Even his own mama and all the people that were crying,
right.
They knew, of course he knew this is my baby, his name is Jesus. It came from God, right? But they still didn't recognize him until after he died and rose again.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and some of them rejected his message at first.
Yeah.
So
that's another reason. Stop running and telling. It's all ego. All right. Any questions? Okay. Y'all are excited today. What?
What was the name of that documentary?
It's called, now I may be misquoting it, the name of the documentary, but something like, and it's on that channel I just mentioned, the third FBI spy for the Soviet Union. Something like that. All right? You will love it. If you're gonna, it's just like everybody else story. It was no different than anybody else story. He ended up having 6 or 7 children, but because of the thrill, his wife still wasn't good enough for him, wasn't enough excitement, and he ended up going to a dance bar. You know where y'all go. Wouldn't climb the pole bowl bar. What do you call the bar, James?
Strip club.
See? James knew it right away. And he bought the strip woman, he tried to save her. He bought her a Mercedes-Benz. He gave her a credit card to take care of the Mercedes-Benz. And all his wife wanted, according to the story, was to just be a wife and a mother. But she wasn't good enough. Isn't that amazing? But anyway, FYI for that. So I have a question. And then I want to get to the biblical question. How many of you still deal with fear sometimes and emotions and stuff like that? Sometimes. You still deal with it sometimes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had a women's forum this past Thursday. It was dynamite. So let me see the hands again. Oh, okay. Why don't you just drop your fear and emotions?
I kind of, I drop it, but like they are really overwhelming. Like I know that I have to drop it, and I drop it, but it's a kind of noise in my mind. It's really noisy, and I look
Noisy?
at them. It's noisy. I look at them, but they don't become quiet. There's still this noise, really, really loud.
And they don't
noise.
become quiet. And what do you do when they don't become quiet?
Sometimes I get lost in it, so I go back to it, and sometimes I just look at them for really, really long time, maybe days or something, like something that is just repeating in my mind.
Oh, okay.
But I still look at them and I recognize that they're just voices, but they are so loud, so powerful in a certain way, they just stay there.
And what do you feel sometimes when you listen to those songs? What type of emotions you get?
Terrible, like sometimes terrible, like I feel like dirty. And
Do you get anger and fear and
anger? No,
worry?
but I just look at them and I say I shouldn't be looking at them. So I kind of pissed off with myself somehow.
And why don't you just drop it all and be done with it?
It's just something like in the background noise. So I drop it, but I still listen to it.
And why?
I'm not really listening, but I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you drop your fear? Why don't you drop your thoughts and fear and emotions, whatever you get?
I think it's more about fear.
Speak up for me.
I think it's more about fear rather than emotions or anger.
And why don't you drop the fear?
Because they're overwhelming. But usually what happens is that if I coexist with them long enough, I start to ignore them.
Okay.
But I mean, they're still there.
And what is preventing you from just being free of it?
I guess not having trained myself enough to get over it. I think it takes time. It's just I never really face it like directly. And just kind of start to
you think
ignore
it takes time?
I guess so. I have no idea how to just drop it all of a sudden because it's been there.
Oh, okay. Amazing. The young man in the back. You had your hair that, right? And why don't you just drop your thoughts and feelings?
I mean, I can guess maybe I'm just too attached to behaving that way for so long. It's like a habit. But I have noticed the difference now is when it comes, there's times where I'm actually laughing. Like it's almost like you caught somebody.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I see what you're doing here. It's sort of like that. Now, why I don't drop it, I think that's my best answer. I'm probably working towards it, but it's like quitting smoking or something almost.
Give me an example. And you don't have to go person, but give me an example of the type of thoughts and feelings you get at times.
Okay, so let's just say an interaction at work that goes a certain way, you're not sure.
Yeah.
Then they come. The thoughts will come for you. And they give you the worst case scenario, create, like, you almost start to worry, you almost start to overthink. And those are the things that I see now clearly. Okay, that's all a lie, that's all emotion. There's no way that this is a fact, what's being put in your head.
Right.
And so I'm in the process, and it's definitely going better. I just go, I see what that is, and I just let it go like a cloud of smoke. Just let it pass me by.
Oh, okay. And what is preventing you from dropping it totally so you don't have to deal with it anymore?
I don't know. I really don't. Because sometimes I don't see it. Sometimes I'm driving in my car and bam. And it's almost like the punch you don't see.
All right.
And I'm like, now, oh. And then after, I'm like, man, I was in that way too long.
Okay.
So one time I can see it coming and I can move. The next time I'm already in it, and then whoa, what's going on here? I need to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand that. Amazing. Did you have your hand? Okay. Why don't you just drop your thoughts and feelings?
Okay. I think that sometimes it's like in a weird way comforting. I know that sounds weird, but it's like,
I understand that.
you know, whenever like I'll be driving and everything will be going great, and then I'm like, man, I feel like I should be worried about something. And so I'll come home and tell my dad, I feel like I should be worried about something, and you know, he'll tell me like, don't trust your thoughts and stuff. But like at this point, it's more of a comfort thing because I'm like, if I'm worrying about something or if I'm doing that, then I don't know, in a way I find comfort in it. And then even though it doesn't usually end up happening, like flying here, I was worried because we flew from Texas. And I was like, the plane's going to crash and I'm going to die and like everything's going to go terrible. And the plane didn't crash and I didn't die, but next time I fly, I'll probably feel the same way. And it's like, it's almost like a comfort thing at this point. So I don't really know how to get rid of it because it's like when you have like a pacifier when you're younger and you're like comforted by it.
Right.
In a way, that's what it does for me, I guess.
So sometimes thoughts and pain feel comforting to you.
Yeah, it sounds weird, right?
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, I know.
But I understand why you thought you were gonna die on the plane.
Yeah.
Because I got on the plane and I saw a female pilot. I thought it was over.
Yeah.
I was like, this is my last flight. Then I found out the man was driving. It wasn't her. Do you believe it's possible to live without that at all?
Without like the feelings of like being anxious and stuff?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
I think it is. I think it's hard for me sometimes. Like I ask my dad a lot, like, because he'll say like, you know, you'll know in the moment like what to do and stuff, so don't stress about it. But sometimes I doubt whether or not like the voice that I'm hearing is from God or from like my head.
Right.
So then I'm just like going back and forth, like, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Instead of just like your producer was talking about earlier, now he just sees things and does it.
Right.
And I have a hard time seeing things and do it. I'm just like, okay, should I or should I not?
Well, the one thing I want you to know is that, how old are you now?
18.
18. That's amazing. One thing I want you to know is that God is never going to talk to you in your head. None of your thoughts are from God. Just know that.
Okay.
And that way, the devil can't make you think, oh, well, this one is from God.
Yeah.
It's not. Somebody told me recently that they used to think that God would talk to them in their dreams. When they sleep and they have dreams, they thought that was from God. And a lot of people think that way. And those dreams are just left over from during the day when you are unconscious. Because you're not catching all those thoughts during the day, you're unconscious. When you go to bed at night, you're still going to be dreaming those same things that you'll be thinking if you were awake during the day. And it's not from God, but some people think it's from God. They be trying to figure out, oh, that dream last night was from God. And God had nothing to do with it. It was from the devil, and it come from unconsciousness. So that's why I encourage people to pray, to be conscious all the time, so that when you do go to sleep, you'll sleep like a baby because you wouldn't be having those dreams. You got to catch those thoughts.
Yeah.
So just know that they are not from God. When the devil tell you that about this is a good one, it's not. God will reveal things to you. It'll be clear. You're right. It's like what Sean was saying earlier. You would just know what to do without having to think about it. You just do it.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Amazing. Did I see your hand? Okay. And then over here. Why don't you just drop those thoughts and feelings?
I don't really have an answer to that. It is like the gentleman was just saying, it's like a background noise that always it exists. And I'm just trying to stay conscious of it and watch it. But yeah, I don't think I know how to, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like sometimes I have, and I know I shouldn't be doing it. Sometimes I'm worried about the future, or what I'm 5 years, or what am I going to get in 5 years, or where I'm going to be in 10 years, 20 years. And I'm like, why am I even worrying about that? So yeah, just crazy stuff like that.
And what does that worry feel like when you do it?
Builds up anxiety. It's
Yeah.
like, man, I have to be doing this, or am I on the right path, or should I be doing that? So, yeah, it's anxiety, it's fear, it's all those emotions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you believe it's possible to just drop it and not have to deal with it?
I do.
You
I
do
do
believe
think-
it is possible?
I think it is.
But you just won't do it.
I don't know if I just won't do it. I don't know how to.
You don't know how. I get it.
No,
Oh,
don't.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Okay. Right here. I want to ask you about, because we talked about this somewhat Thursday night, right? Yeah, so I want to ask you a different question.
Oh.
What does the biblical question for this week? Anybody know the biblical question this week? Only 2 people. Do you know what the biblical question? 3 people.
Yes, I know. I don't know if I'm articulating it verbatim, but
Okay.
it's like, how does evil show up in you?
Yeah, what
Something was
does
the
evil
gist.
look like in you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does evil look like inside of you?
It looks like annoyance, getting ticked, impatience.
Okay. Annoyance, intent. Okay. Anything else in there?
I think I'll leave it there.
I'm sorry?
I think that's.
And
I
everybody
could
just
name
relax. We're
many.
having fun. We're going to do our thing. It's not a test. Go ahead.
Even those little moments where fear wants to creep in, all of that is evil. All
Yeah.
of those things I described.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Well, I won't ask you why don't you drop it, because we talked about this Thursday, right?
Did we?
Were
I
you
don't
there?
think so. I was, yeah. Yes, of course I was there. I don't remember talking about why don't I drop it, though? Or maybe we did, I don't know.
Well, I'll come back to you in a minute, just in case we did talk about it.
Well, can I tell you why I won't drop it?
Yes.
Because, well, it's not that I won't drop it, though.
Well, why have you dropped it then?
Because for me, this work, what I'm doing, it's unfolding for me in stages. So before, like I would be impatient or maybe a little angry about something, and I would outwardly express it by my demeanor or whatever. But now I've gotten to a place where I see it, but I don't outwardly express it, but I feel it. But I still believe that that is not good. I mean, it's still the devil. So what I'm finding is that it's less and less. When I feel that way, it's always 100% of the time because I'm not present. And when I feel it, I'm like, oh, and I realize I'm not present the moment I feel it. So I do my best to shift to being present.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Nick, why don't you drop your thoughts and feelings? Just drop them. Be done.
I just forgotten, I guess, in that moment that I can do that. And I'm thinking I still got to deal with whatever I'm being presented, the thought. Sometimes it's spiritual stuff, like I'm confused about something, I got to figure it out. But as soon as I definitely want to, and I know that because the moment I realize I do.
Okay.
I drop whatever it is I'm holding on to.
Amazing. Why don't you drop it, Francisco? All thoughts and pain and emotions.
So I've been doing that, but what I notice about myself is that I've been tricked and deceived in my thoughts into believing something or seeing half of the picture and then judging it, and it's got me. So it's like every day I've got to watch out for the tricks of the devil by not holding on to things and not developing an opinion about something.
And what does the hell look like inside of you?
I kind of went through a little something this week, and so it looks like just being deceived.
It look like what?
Being deceived, being tricked.
Oh, okay.
Tricked, seeing something, believing it, and now I'm tricked. I've been fooled.
Okay. Interesting. How about you, Joel? He black. Why don't you just drop the thoughts and feelings and be done with them?
I think it's more so of not knowing how, but when I say not knowing how, it's not just like you read the Bible and the Bible tells you, gives you the steps. I don't mean it like that. I mean it that God hasn't revealed the understanding of what it means to let it go. So I can pretend like I have the steps, whether somebody says it or the Bible says it, but if I don't really understand it, it's not going to drop. So I haven't received it.
And what does the hell look like inside of you?
Just judgment. Yeah, making decisions based off of, what I think it might be, or have my mind made up on certain things. Judgment.
Oh, okay. I mean, see you walk in the room. Let me talk to Satan. See you walked in at the right time. Why don't you just drop all those thoughts and feelings down? Just drop them and be done.
I would love to drop the thoughts. I don't know why I can't just drop the thoughts. And sometimes I say that, but sometimes I can see the thought and it'll be gone immediately. But sometimes I'm knee deep in them, and sometimes it's just I'm in it before I even know it. But one thing I do notice also is that the scenario that plays, or my reaction that plays in my thoughts, what I would do in my thoughts, doesn't happen in real life. And I don't respond. My thoughts is like I respond whatever way comes to mind. I'm never going to let this person do that, all that. But in real life, it is, most of the time I won't respond with any emotion, and it works out perfect.
Okay.
So I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
And what does the hell look like inside of you, as though Joel doesn't know? We got a little running game around. That's why.
It's the confusion. It's the not knowing. It's the always trying to figure out. It's the always having an answer.
Not knowing and always trying to have an answer?
Uh-huh.
Always having an answer or wanting an answer? Or always, did you say always having an answer?
Always at least trying to have an answer. I don't always have an answer.
All right. Okay. Oh, I just thought of a question. I want to go here first, and then I got to go here. Why don't you just drop the thoughts and emotions?
There's moments where there's times that it seems like I do, and then I notice that I haven't. It feels like I did. It feels like I've done it, and then it comes back. So sometimes it seems to me that I get deceived by something. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sometimes it seems like you have dropped them,
Yes,
and then it looks
yes.
like. And what makes you think you have at times?
Because I have no fear and I'm like at perfect peace. An example would be when like I'm in the silent prayer. Like at that moment, I know that I'm fearless and at peace. And then when I wake up, it comes back.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. What does hell look like inside of you?
Overeating and wanting to help other people's, like when you said don't try to help other people,
Right.
I want to sometimes, and I'm like,
And why? I know what you mean, but why?
because it's like I said, when I sense the fearlessness and the peacefulness, I want my family to have that, and it's a trap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because your family might not want it. most of the time they don't want it.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Only a few people really, really, truly want the truth to the point that they will stay with it no matter what. They're just committed to it. And then if anything go wrong, they get into thoughts and feelings. They want it so badly that they know that whatever they're feeling is them, and it has nothing to do with anyone else, but this is in their world. And they're not going to give up because they have that understanding too. But most people don't want the truth. That's why some people start out and they stop. Some people get down the road and they stop. Some people, whatever, they find an excuse to stop. But there are only a few who just stay there no matter what. And your family might not want it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's not your job to even want them to want it. They have to want it. They have to welcome the truth. That's the only way the truth is going to come, is they got to do it. You can't even want it for them because it's going to make you go and try to help them get it, and they don't want it. They'll turn on you.
That makes sense. And I got one question, actually. You said thoughts. I don't hear voices. However, sometimes I see maybe pictures. Is that a thought also?
Yes.
Like seeing pictures?
Yeah. Because those are thoughts, they're just coming in a picture form. All thoughts about anything, except practical thought, and you'll recognize that. All thoughts are just plain old evil and lies. There's no truth in any thoughts at any time except for practical thoughts. And even the practical thoughts come from God. That's not even from us. He'll tell you how to make your business work, or don't worry about this, or take care of that, or have lunch, or whatever, right?
Man, the devil's sneaky then.
Yeah.
Well, just one more. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have no thoughts, and then there's times where a song keeps playing in my head.
Yeah.
So that's a thought too?
Yep.
Oh, man.
But when you do wake up and hear the song, just notice it, let it play, and let it go. Don't hold on to it. Don't be frustrated by it. Don't try to stop it. Just be aware of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Be aware of it.
Yeah, okay.
And
yeah,
don't
makes
make it
sense.
a big deal.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Sean, I saw your hand. Why don't you drop the thought and feeling? Just be done with them.
I guess because I'm not, I just don't put it first yet. I don't put that first yet in my life, like being conscious, staying present. But, that's why the spending time in silence is so important, because you see the thought coming from a mile away instead of having it right in front of your face before you know it. You see it before it can turn into a feeling. So like the hell inside of me, that's what it looks like. It looks like unconsciousness.
It is unconscious.
It looks like me not being conscious of the thought when I first see it, but letting it come closer and closer.
So in knowing that you should be conscious, why don't you just be conscious?
I think because my concept of what alone really means, like I still think I'm alone. I still value being alone, But now I'm starting to realize that we're not alone. We're never alone. Yeah. So, I'm still like in love with like the old idea of being alone, and what I thought that meant. Just me, myself, and I. But yeah, I mean, dropping it gets me in touch with like the fact that I'm not alone.
Okay.
And I'm still used to the old version of being alone.
What a mess. Okay. Tell me what you heard from all these people right now and what you get from that.
There was a theme in what everyone said, and Sean summarized it really well, is that evil is unconsciousness. And
that he what?
That evil is unconsciousness.
Okay.
And that the way to really address it is to catch it there, versus like Sean was saying, if you wait for that thought and let it creep in a little bit and then try to deal with the emotion, you've half lost the battle before you started. But if you just stay conscious all the time, there's no door open then. But along with that, I believe that the devil is constantly there trying to lure you back into unconsciousness, because then he can do what he wants with you. And so
in believing that, why do you keep falling for it?
I really don't fall for it. Like the other day, I mean, this is a while back, I guess. It really opened my eyes to it. I was driving and I was going to work, and I was thinking within like half an hour of each other, I was worried about not having enough work, and then I was stressed about having too much work, and nothing had changed in between. It was just my mind playing that game, and I'm like, but I can see it now every time. Like I see it at that first point before the emotion even starts. I became unconscious and I just stopped. And it's like once you do it once, then you know you have the power to do it. And then each time you do it, it becomes easier and easier to do it. But it's like something you have to be conscious of your consciousness. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Like it's something you have to work on. Like you have to always be like aware, because the devil is trying to get you to be unconscious all the time.
Okay. Mimi, what does, you heard of Mimi? That's Mimi.
Oh, sorry.
What does hell look like inside of you?
Well, I think you asked the question, what does evil look like?
I mean,
maybe
evil.
evil and
Same
hell
thing,
is the
but
same way.
what does evil look like inside of you?
I think it's attachment. I think it's attachment to a whole lot of things. So it just gets confusing and messy. Anything, actually, attaching to the past, the present, and the future is my thing. It feels like I should be ashamed of some things, and I need to be retributive to some other things, and I need to pay penance for some things, and I can't turn back. And it's just it's heavy, and yet it's always following me.
Always what?
Following me.
Yeah.
It's always there. It feels like some mountain that I can wake up and start chipping away at. It's me trying to engage and figure it out. So.
How do you feel about that?
It's insanity.
It's what?
Insanity.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
And so why don't you just drop it?
I'm learning how to now more than ever. Why I didn't do it before was because I was confusing God's work. I thought I was doing what God wanted me to do. And to his point, what the gentleman just said about, the thoughts are always there. I think that when I hear the thoughts, or when I would hear the thoughts, I thought they were from God. So what you mentioned to his daughter was really profound, in the sense that you don't even have to worry or even think and try to decipher and analyze. It really isn't him. It really isn't God.
Right.
But for me, there was a part of me, and I said this when I first came here, a lot of my troubles happened when I said, oh my God, I've been living my life this one way. I've got to find God, and and it was when I, quote unquote, thought I was finding God that everything changed, and it wasn't necessarily in the better way for me inside.
Right.
And you said to me one time, well, again, when I first got here, I was like, what is this man talking about? Because you said that I wasn't praying to God, I was praying to the devil. And I was like, I was like, let me stay away from you just in case you get struck by God himself. I'm going to stay away, because I've never heard anybody say anything like that before, ever. But again, I think I get confused thinking that I'm doing God's work, thinking that when I hear something or something comes to me, I'm like, oh, God wants me to address this. God gave me this. Like, I better figure this out. Like, why would it exist if it wasn't God telling me? And then getting confused and going down that path when it wasn't God from the beginning.
Are you starting to see clearer now that you were worshiping the devil and not God?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to say that, though. But what's interesting is that that's what he does anyways. He wants to pull on your feelings and your emotions anyways, even though they don't really exist.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you, this week, I was just dealing with this weird feeling of anxiety. And it wasn't even really attached to much of anything, and probably it was, but it was just this energy that you're just like, you feel like you're gonna explode and then blow into the wind. Like, it's just a weird energy, anxiety is, and I was like, what is that? And why does it feel like energy, even though it's the only place it exists is within inside of me? Nobody would even know. Like, nobody could touch me and be like, oh, there's a lot of energy in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just within me, and I'm attached to it. So that's why I was saying it's attachment. It's attachment to all these things. That's evil and hell. And it keeps you there.
And the only reason you were having it is, once again, you were unconscious and didn't realize it.
Okay.
Consciousness is where you want to be at all time, in the presence of God at all time.
Okay.
And I want to say this? I want to say it, but don't hear it.
Okay.
But I need to say it, I think. But don't hear it. Don't listen to it. All right? There is an energy from God, too. Enough said.
Okay.
But it's not the one the devil's going to tell you about.
And I know that you haven't said, kind of your perspective on the questions that you're asking.
Yes.
And again, we've had our own experience on Thursday.
Yeah.
But enough said, I just want to say thank you. Because just like Sean said, you'll say something over and over and over again. And I'd be like, oh, that sounds like Jesse. But there will be a time when you'll say it. And I don't know if it's just mixed in what I'm dealing with at the time.
Absolutely.
But Thursday, thank you. That's all I want to say is thank you.
It was amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So
Thursday, you guys should have put on a dress and pretend that you... The lady was on fire. It was deep. And everybody, and their mama showed up, if you're black. If it was white, it's their mama. But it was deep, absolutely. Yes, I saw a hand somewhere. Yes. Oh, let me take here first, and then Raymond. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to share with you that before I started listening to you, my thoughts ran the show. I mean, my attitude in the morning was, it would control everything.
Yeah.
And so what I found out, as soon as those thoughts entered my mind or head or whatever, I would say, all thoughts are lies all the time about anything. And I would just think it or say it quietly to myself, and immediately that thought was gone. I could not even go back to it.
Absolutely.
And if it did go back, I would repeat the same thing that I just said until it is completely out. And then I would be in the present of whatever it was I was doing, and then I was aware of what I was doing. So I just wanted to share that.
Stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. I love the fact that you say all thoughts are lie. You need to say it until you won't have to say it anymore, because after a while, I promise you that thoughts will become like a tool or something. Like all the traumas and stuff you've gone through, it's going to disappear. But so when you want to tell a story about something that you used to do or you remember, it's just going to be like a memory, and you won't feel anything from it. You won't feel anything about it. It will be just a story you'll share with somebody and hope that they will overcome too. It's going to become like that. That's what happens with thought. You can use them without feeling anything about it. It's never happened to you. So stay with it, stay with it. What does hell look like? What does evil look like inside of you?
Wow. Evil, I think it's just more anger, and that's about the only word that I can think of when, when something.
Why don't you just drop the anger?
Yeah. So, can I go back to the all thoughts are lies?
Yeah.
I shared your program with my wife and my son, and so they even catch me when I'm saying, Dad, all thoughts, even my son will just say, all thoughts. That's all he'll say. And they're like, well, you know what? You're right. My wife, all thoughts are lies. Okay, you're right. Okay, I stop. But they catch me too. But it really helps.
Nice. Amazing. Raymond, did I see your hand? Why don't you drop your thoughts and feelings? Just drop them.
I wouldn't know how to begin doing that. I know what I have to do. I just in the dark and is trying to find out how to do it.
Oh, okay.
I always make a mess of everything, and I don't trust myself in doing the right thing.
Amazing. And what does evil look like inside of you?
Unbridled anger, because when I pray, there are times I feel like screaming.
Amazing. What does evil look like inside of you? The guy that brought, I saw his hand earlier. What does evil look like inside of you?
It looks just like me.
Absolutely. It is you. Amazing. Why don't you just drop it?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how did you drop it?
Forgiving and just letting life be.
Okay. Amazing. The young lady here, and then I got to move on. What does evil look like inside of you?
It is so disguised as me that now realizing that that's not me, I have to just watch and recognize I don't know myself. But it's so disguised, I think, because if it was recognizable, who would want evil? So.
And why don't you just drop it?
I have.
You just drop it and be done with it?
I have.
Oh, okay.
It's
nice.
Its presence is what I'm learning to watch.
Okay.
And detach from.
Amazing. Good meeting Thursday night, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. What does evil look like inside of you?
Thoughts and believing in the thoughts, but it's not there, but before.
And what does it feel like inside of you?
Evil, when it's inside of me?
Yeah, what does it feel like inside of you?
Hell.
Give me
like,
an example of what you mean.
Like, I remember before I started, because now I practice staying present.
Right.
And as long as I practice staying present and watching the thoughts and not getting caught up in it, then it's fine. Everything's fine. But I remember when I was full on living in my imagination, I could just be doing something random and start thinking about something like being in a relationship that I didn't want to be in, and the thoughts would just go more and more, and then I just break out and start crying. Like, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm by myself, but the thoughts are causing me to feel emotions, fear, doubt, worry, everything you say. So
okay.
That's hell, because who wants to just be caught up in that?
Most people. Really?
I didn't.
Most people
I didn't know how to
love their hell. Really, they love it. That's why you can't be running trying to save anyone, because you're trying to save the devil, and the devil doesn't want to be saved. Amazing.
I didn't. I knew it was uncomfortable, and I didn't want to feel that way. But I didn't. When in the silent prayer, it was revealed to me because when you would say all thoughts are all lies all the time, and I heard it, I dissected it intellectually, like, what does that actually mean? And then when I started practicing doing the silent prayer, and it was revealed to me in the silent prayer that it wasn't me, that the thoughts weren't me, and they weren't even coming from me.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that, everything changed. Everything changed.
Nice. Amazing. So I want to do this, and then I got another quick question, then I'm going to wind this down. I got to find out what the hell the evil look like inside of Hake. Don't we all want to know? What a mess, huh? The guy with the good hair. The strip club guy. What does evil look like inside of you?
Oops.
It's like being possessed by others and picking up different missions, and just not having peace with anything.
Repeat that a little bit.
Picking up possession from others.
And give me an example of what you mean.
Like say I deal with my caller, one of my callers who's just a possessed person.
Right.
And he gets to me. I'm like possessed by him. Like the same evil thing that's in him jumps into me by me reacting to him, or by me like pouring over it in my mind. Like I just kind of noticed that I get the same issue that they have when they get to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Why don't you drop it?
Kind of because I think that I want to figure it out and overcome it that way.
You want to figure out what?
Figure out, like, either how to win or whatever. You know what I mean?
You can't figure that out. You want to figure out how to win? All losers are trying to figure out how to win.
I know.
Have you noticed that?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
Did you know all losers are trying to figure out how to win? Even the greatest boxer or the baseball player still figure out how to try to win because they're losers. Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I got to do this right here. Tell us what you realized this week within yourself.
This week, dealing with words. So even when you say the word drop, like you drop all the feelings and emotions, I'm fixated on that word drop. But really it's, I guess, just being conscious. That's the dropping of the feelings. Like if you remain conscious, it's dropped. But I'm thinking it's a verb where I can just control it and just say, okay, I'm going to get rid of all of my thoughts, all of these thoughts that are coming in. But it's really just staying conscious. But it's really like when you're communicating these things that are like abstract, spiritual things, and we use words, it's like it's very limiting. Sometimes I get fixated on words like a drop or self or all thoughts, 100% of all thoughts, and then there's a contradiction, but it's not really a contradiction when you have practical thoughts. So it's how we kind of I get caught up in words. So I have to kind of rely on another wisdom or allow these things to be revealed to me. That's what I need to do.
And so this week, you realize that's what you realized about yourself this week? You learned about
words,
yourself.
how I get caught up in words.
Oh, okay.
And try to be an intellectual, and I end up make myself look stupid pretty much. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Amazing. What did you realize about yourself this week?
A new way of seeing how evil operates in me, I guess. So to answer the question, I guess you were asking everybody else. For me, it looks like, how do I describe it? Keeping things to myself, but also like keeping things to myself. When I go through something, I feel like I dig into it. I feel like I should have to go through it or do have to go through it. And
you say you should or should?
I'm telling myself that I should have to go through it, or that this is what's supposed to happen. So if I feel something, I will hold on to it and I'll keep it close to me because it's like, oh well, I fell into this, and so I guess I'm silly, but I kind of deserve what I'm going through right now. And so I'll hold on to that a little bit, or more than a little bit, and it sticks.
It stinks?
It sticks.
Oh, it sticks.
Yeah. And also, kind of what you were asking the Women's Forum, I realized something else too, a little bit, how, how you say that all thoughts are lies and it's either focusing on the future or on the past. But for me personally, it's like going through the could haves and the should haves. For me, when I think about a scenario, I'm like, oh, well, it could have looked like this, or well, it should have looked like this. And that's what keeps me in that circle. It's not so much thinking about a past thing or a future thing. For me, it's entertaining the could haves and the should haves, and that being something that I get stuck in a
And
lot.
why do you entertain those things?
Because I have this idea in my mind, I have this ideal situation that things are supposed to look this way, and when they don't, that's when I entertain the could haves and the should haves. And I believe that that's something that should have happened, but it didn't.
Right.
And so I entertain that, and I get stuck in that little circle, and I picture it, and I can look at every little detail and see a complete picture in my mind. It moves. I can almost like smell what it's supposed to be, and it's very vivid, and it's really interesting to be there. So that's what I realized this week.
Oh, okay. Give us one quick thing that you realized about yourself this week that you didn't know.
I don't really know.
Okay.
I kind of like let things in one ear and out the other.
So do you don't pay attention to yourself during the week?
No, I do.
Oh, but you
Constantly,
just
all the
don't know.
time. So it's hard to differentiate which week or day I thought
Oh, okay.
what. But I was thinking right now, though, one way I think that I find myself becoming more conscious is like when people say they're good and you say no man is good. I kind of notice that, and when I'm in interaction with, like a worker, retail, whatever, and they're like, oh, how you doing? I'll be like, I'm great, or all is well, and they're like, I'm good. And that, puts that in my head. I hear it, and I'm like, I don't call them out. I don't chest thump them. What's that?
You say no one is good.
Yeah, well, I don't say it, but in my head, I'm thinking, no man's good. So it's...
That's how I am when I'm riding down the road. I see guys sitting in a car with women, and the woman is driving. I'm like, Peter.
You yell out the window? But, I think that's kind of one way to just be conscious, like what people are saying when they say they're good. No man is good, and you just kind of have that. And then you just you get caught up on words, but words are important because there's a lot of choices of words to use. And people say they're good, but they're not good because no man is good. Like Christ said, only God is good.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So that's something that could kind of bring you present, just knowing that fact. So when people say it, everybody says it constantly, all day long.
Okay.
Every time I go somewhere, like, how you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm good.
And
I'm like,
everyone says it. Tell me one or two things you realized about yourself this week that you didn't know before.
That I didn't know before.
About you.
Well, I didn't know how hard this was going to be. That's a fact. It's like I talked about climbing a mountain, and I climbed and I climbed. I'm like, okay, that's probably a quarter of the way. And I realized I'm just on a hill, and there's a whole valley that's like a jungle before I even get to the mountain.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like giving up?
Not really. I mean, I at least can admit that you just don't know how hard it's going to be. Like, you know it's going to be hard, and then you're like, wow, okay, it's really like a monster.
Yeah. What a mess, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Nice.
the best way to put it.
Let me do this. Sean, how do you feel about California? I forgot to have you tell the folks how you feel about California.
This is to say nothing about the people here, but if I never came back, I wouldn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
He told us the other day, I hate California.
And it really has a lot to do with the weather, You don't
like the weather?
No, I grew up, when going on a hike, I expect to see mud and streams and greenery and bugs, and this is just dirt and sand. And it's I don't know. I like the mist. I like moisture. I like humidity and rain. I like constant. Maybe it's those Irish roots. You know, the weather in Ireland is very like wet and unpredictable. You know, yeah. I need rain.
Well, we so soft out here, we can handle all the bugs.
Yeah. And yeah, and two other quick things is there's no cops out here.
I know.
The police presence is non-existent.
Yeah.
And also the drivers are the worst I've ever seen. The worst I've seen no matter where I've been.
Especially now that they're high.
Albania. Yeah, it's out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That was actually my question for you, Sean. Did LA ever feel like home at all? Ever?
No. I feel like a fish out of water. Like literally.
I can relate, and I'm from California.
I feel like a fish out of water.
Well, I love California. I love LA. I just hate the mess it's become. I like the weather. I like everything except the mess.
Yeah.
So let me do this. You could drop all of your thoughts of pain right now. You don't have to live with it any longer. And one reason, well, a couple of reasons. One is that it's not you anyway. It's not you at all. You don't feel anything. You don't think anything. You are not longing for anything. You are not missing anything. It's all the fake you. You have been taken care of and are taken care of. And you can live free right now. And here's what I recommend. Just for this week, and so we come back next week, if you come back, you'll tell me what it was like. I want you to know that every thought, and some practical ones, every pain that you have, every emotion that you have, every up and down feeling that you have, whether it's about yourself or others, or you blame others or whatever, it's not you and it's not real at all. It's just a thought. It is just a thought. That's all it is. It's not real at all. It is. And the reason that we all thought and think that it's real is because we've been conditioned all of our lives. When we popped out of our parents' womb, they started conditioning us. You have to think this way. You have to be this way. You have to believe this. You have to act this way. And then you became a Christian. This is what a Christian think. This is how a Christian feel. This is how a Christian act. And then they gave you your morals and values. This is how your morals and values should be. If you don't do it this way, you're a sinner. If you do it this way, you're saved. And both are lies. But we've been conditioned to believe that. And then by being in a fallen state, we're already conditioned from becoming angry, from innocent to angry. So we already got that going on. And then we've been lied to all of our life. We've been 100% lied to. That guy that I would tell you about, the spy guy, they said that they were stunned by him because he was a family man, he was an educated man, he was a patriot, he loved America. And they were all just, and he was a Catholic, a good Catholic. He would go and do the Hail Mary thing. And they were stunned by his action. That's in every one of us until we realize it's not us. You gotta know, if you want to be free right now and never think about this again, not worry about it, and know it's just a thought. Your feelings, psychological feelings, are just thoughts. They're not real. It's just a feeling. It's just a thought. That's all it is. And I want, for the rest of this week, your assignment, should you decide to take it, I want you, like the young man was saying about all thoughts are all lies all the time. I want you all week to say, When they come and you see them, you're going to really start catching them now. Just say, that's a thought. That's just a thought. Just a thought. And you're going to see the thoughts and feelings disappear. It's not real. It's just a thought. You don't feel anything. Even the feelings that you have are fake feelings. They're illusions coming straight out of hell, and they're not even coming from you. The fear of fear is not coming from you. The fear of jealousy and envy and worry and suicidal thoughts and revenge, they're not. The fear, this is deep. Even the desire to have love is not real. If you already have love, why do you need to have love? Why would you desire something that you already have? You're already loved. God sent His Son that He saved us because He loved us. There's no reason at all to be trying to get love from another human being or anything, a car or money or anything. You're already loved. You already have it. You just misplaced the real love with the false love. It's just a thought. It's not even real. It's just a thought, no matter what you feel or think. It's just a thought. It's just think about it. It's a thought, an empty thought. And it's not even your thought. But yet you cry, you mourn, you pray, get on your knees and pray to the Father. You call up the church and tell the church to put you on the prayer list. And they put you on the prayer list, and nothing changes. It's just that the list is full now. It's just a thought. It's not even real. When you start seeing this, you're going to like smile that you're crazy enough to believe it. And this day forward, never, never, ever, never, ever. It's a practical thing. We have to work together on earth, right? We shop together, we buy from your business, my business, or whatever. Never want anything from anyone else. No one. No love, no nothing. Because when you get married, you ain't getting married in love. You get married in hate and call it love. Get married if you want to get married, have children, but don't be trying to get love. Don't try to get anything. Don't even try to change your husband or your wife. Want for nothing from anyone. It's just a thought. You think that's what you want from somebody else, and that's why it doesn't work out. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's so crazy, it's just a thought. But we've been conditioned. We've been made to believe lies. And the world suffers for it. What y'all thinking? It ain't never real. If you think somebody else, if someone says something bad about you, and you get mad about it or something, you're crazy. That's them and their world. It had nothing to do with you, but you thought about it. And once you thought about it and believed the thought, it became your issue. You have nothing to lose. Your little reputation don't mean a thing. People still gonna say horrible things about you. Your little money don't mean a thing. They just figure out how to try to get your money because you've been flashing it around. Or you dress to look like you got a lot of money. And they want to become your friend because they want what you have. They don't want you. Even your own kids will rip you off. Because your kids don't care about you. Your kids care about how soon will you die so they can inherit the house. They don't care about you. You think they care that you're going to be in the grave? Oh yeah, they'll go out and put on a front at church. Oh, Daddy, Mama dead. And they'll cry, and then they'll go home and fight on who's going to get the most money of the house. They don't love you. Human beings don't have love to give. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Your feelings, stop carrying on about your feelings. It's just a thought. They're not even real. Nobody can hurt your feeling if there's no you there. There's no you there. When Christ disappeared, then he appeared, and so will you. When you disappear, you will do exactly what Christ did. You will appear. Isn't that amazing? Any question about that? It's just a thought. So I want you to work on that this week. That's your assignment. From the moment here and the rest of the day and the rest of the week, just see those thoughts and just know that's just a thought. Look at that thought. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Yes. It's so crazy that it's just a thought. It's not even real. And every human being struggles with this because they think it's more than a thought. And they think that it's their thought. They think that it's their feelings. And then they get you saved. Yes.
I just have a comment. Isn't it one of the reasons why that's so important? For me, the silent prayer is like everything, because it switched from me believing in my imagination, and my imagination was my safe place before. From when I was a little girl, I would run into my imagination. When you said that, it instantly, like, that's exactly what I did. So it went from me being in my imagination, going to feel comfortable outside of all the chaos around me, to sitting still and being silent and being present with God. And it just switched. And it's so important to me because I want to thank you too, because I heard you say things that I've never heard anybody else say. But it was in the time that I'm quiet and then I'm sitting still and then I'm doing the silent prayer that things were revealed to me. So, I mean, you can talk until you're blue in the face and tell people don't believe the thoughts, and it does make sense and when people hear it, but they should also like really go inside of themselves and be alone and really, just do the silent prayer. Just be still and be silent and watch what's going on. Watch what's going on inside of you, and not to get caught up in like hearing what you say, because it's great. Everything that you say is good, and I appreciate it. I'm thankful that it's changed my life, but also doing the work with it too on yourself.
You gotta do the work. And you gotta do the work because you're lost and don't know it. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. I was at a meeting, and a couple of people boo-hooed at the meeting. And they were boo-hooing, just boo-hooing, boo-hooing, boo-hooing. And I was like, look, that's a person boo-hooing, but it's just a thought. It's not even real. They're doing fine. They're fat and sassy. They have food on the table. They're rough. But they were boo-hooing over just, and I was really just into it, to describe it like it was happening right now. But it was just a thought. But it felt like it was happening right now. But it was just a thought. And it wasn't happening. But the devil makes you think it's happening now, and it's not. Whatever happened this morning is done. It doesn't even exist anywhere. It's just a thought. God doesn't bring those thoughts to you. He's done with whatever happened this morning. All he happens right now. It's just a thought. Some of the ladies, when they get married, they think their husband think they're not pretty anymore. It's just a thought, ladies. Really. Your husband don't care if you're pretty or not. He just care about one thing. And I can't say because it started with an S and I'm in a meeting. That's all he care about. And y'all make his dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He'll be satisfied. You don't care that you fat. He can care less. It's just a thought. Do you understand that? Does that make sense? Who does it make sense to? Okay, it makes sense to everybody that it's just a thought. How does it make sense, Mimi? Why does this make sense to you?
Well, because paired with, again, it's not coming from God. So if it's coming from the devil, he's cunning, but he's a coward, you know. And so if you pair that together, you realize that, again, you're really not attached to anything, you know, and you just have to, that's that nothingness that comes. If you're not attached to the thoughts, then you can just be.
And I want in this assignment and for the rest of your life, don't even think about, well, God's not giving me these thoughts. Don't think about that, because when you think, well, God is not giving me these thoughts, which is true, then you're in thought again. In God, there is no thinking. There is no thinking at all about anything. Practical thought, we come from God. But there's no thinking. He doesn't want you to be thinking. Stop thinking. When you think about God being with you, it's just another thought. It doesn't mean God is with you. It's when you're not thinking about God and when you're free. So don't try not to think about God. Just don't think about Him. All right. Last one, yes, Sean, I saw your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick said something a while ago in church that stuck with me. He said that, you know, the devil in your mind plays both sides. So that's why it makes sense that it's just a thought to me, because you know 5 minutes later it's going to be the opposite. You know, he plays both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. He plays both sides.
It's crazy to think about.
He played the good guy and the bad guy. He played God and the devil. It's just a thought. So this assignment for this week, I want you to pay attention. You got to be conscious. As the young lady said, be conscious. Be present. You want to be present. You've been unconscious all your life and done some crazy things, but it even wasn't you doing it. It wasn't you even then, but you didn't know, you couldn't see. But it's just a thought. They are just thoughts with no meaning. All right, so your assignment this week, just remember all day, all night, all tomorrow, all the next day, all the next day, all the next day. It's just a thought. Even a thought about God is just a thought. You're not thinking about God. There's no thinking about God. Isn't that amazing to be a Christian and not think about God? What? No. My brand new biblical question. Oh, let me ask this first. What is the assignment for this week?
Remember that they're all thoughts.
It's just a thought. And I want you, when they come, because now you're going to be more aware of them, just say, wow, that's just a thought. All right? That's just a thought. Because honestly, folks, honestly, I promise you, that's all it is. It has no other meaning at all. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Brand new assignment. Brand new biblical question. Ooh, this is a good one. Get ready, get ready. Are you a worshiper? Are you a worshiper? Right? You changed it? No. What was it supposed to be? Self. Oh yeah, are you a self-worshiper? Worshiper. Am I saying that right? Are you a self-worshiper? How many self-worshipers do we have? 1, 2, 3, and the rest of the line. No, I'm playing. Yes, sir. You a self-worshiper?
Can you define, just so we're on the same page, what?
I'm sorry?
Can you define what a self-worshiper is?
I am, but I'm not. Okay. Because this is the brand new biblical course. I have to wait until next Sunday.
All right.
Are you a self-worshiper?
Probably, but not, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure.
Okay. By Sunday, you will know.
That's why I'll be here.
Right on. Are you a self-worshiper all the way from New Zealand?
New Zealand, no. From Singapore.
Singapore. Are you a self-worshiper?
When you were asking the question, I was thinking that I was not, but maybe I am. So, and getting back to Maybe I need to reflect a little bit on this to really understand.
Absolutely.
And what it means actually is to worship something or myself, especially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't know now.
All right. Raymond, last word. You had your hand. Are you a self-worshiper?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. All right. Yes, I am. Sound like the Temptation. Very last word. What did you get from this meeting today? Yeah. This is not your first time here, right? Okay. Did you get anything from this meeting today?
Got to meet.
I'm sorry?
Got to meet your crew.
Oh, okay.
Except Hake, yet to meet.
Yeah. Hate with the good hair. All right. Thank you. Did you forgive your cousin? Was this your cousin you were talking about that day that did on your nerves?
It's an old buddy of mine.
Old friend of
mine,
yours.
Yeah.
Did you forgive him and everything?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got caught up in my thoughts. That's all it was.
So you still playing with him or you done with him?
Well, he lives on the other side of the country, but
okay, good.
He called again. I just ignored it.
You just ignored it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way to deal with it right now.
Yeah, but
I didn't put any thought into it. Like, well, should I answer it? Should I? I just did do it.
And just don't be angry at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Amazing. All right, folks. Yes, sir.
I was checking, like, I don't know if you know, but we were trying to get married. So if we can, I don't really know how it works, but we came here. We came here.
Oh, you're the
yeah,
one that want to meet today.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk right after the meeting. Okay. Y'all trying to get married?
Yeah.
She don't look like she want to marry you.
No, because I heard a couple of times you're saying that couples hate each other.
Right.
Well, I guess we're the fools that would.
I'm sorry?
I guess we're just stupid enough to stick to it.
Yeah, you go. Knowing that you don't love him and he doesn't love you, you still want to do it? Because you hate one another. You can bank on that.
I guess I have to hate someone in my life sooner or later. If I don't have a spouse, I'll probably hate my parents for life.
So what?
Probably if I don't have a spouse to hate, I'll hate my parents for life. Or my cousin, I don't know.
She said if she doesn't have a spouse, she probably hate her parents for life. Why would you hate your parents for life?
No, I mean, there's a kind of, I wouldn't know how to put it. It's like...
It's hard to forgive them?
Yes.
It's hard to forgive your parents?
No, I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. It just feels like he brings a better side out of me.
Oh, he brings the better side out of you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, okay.
I'm a lot more calmer than I used to be. I would say the same for him, if you agree.
So he doesn't get on your nerves at all?
No, I wouldn't completely say no, not at all, but definitely a lot less than before.
Right, well, he'll get on more the day after the morning of. When you have your honeymoon night, the next morning, you're going to look up and say, what the?
Okay.
No, but get married, though. I'm not telling you not to. Do your marriage. We'll talk about it. And just fight until you have all of your children. And once you have all of the babies you're going to have, then the fight will stop.
You're talking about 2 generations afterward.
How many children you plan to have?
5.
5 children?
2.
She said 2. Here's the fight. He said 5 children, and she says 2. The fight is on. Are you willing to have 5? Because he wants 5.
If we can afford it.
That's not up to you, that's him.
Exactly.
But don't worry about if you can afford it. You just have the babies.
Sorry?
It's not your decision if you can afford it. It's on him.
Yes.
Your job is to lay down and have the babies.
All right.
All right, so he wants
right.
5.
All right.
Are you willing?
Let me think about it.
Oh, there's the fight. Happy anniversary. In the time I got to end, and I just for all the ladies out there, your fiance, you're not married yet, right? You're getting married, right? Your fiance want 5 children, right? You only want 2, and you said only if you can afford it, right? Why is that any concern for you? If you're the husband, he gonna be taking care of you and the kids. Why do you take any thought about if you can afford it or not? Or if you're gonna have 2 or 3? Why do that? Why does that even cross your mind?
I feel like it's a bit irresponsible just to say yes.
To say yes about 5 kids?
Yes, because I cannot tell exactly how future would turn out to be.
And you're not supposed to worry about how things are going to turn out to be.
I'm not sure how to answer that. But if I say 5, how do I know it's gonna happen for sure?
How do you know what?
How do I know that 5 children is gonna come along?
Oh, he's going to get busy every year. Every year,
Me
you're
too.
going to be having a baby. Every 9 months. Does that satisfy you now?
Yeah.
Do you want 5 now?
3?
I think that is so interesting, and this is the first time I ever realized this, is that the wife never really trusts the man that they're marrying. And that's another reason the fight is there, because you're supposed to provide. She should already know that you're going to provide, and that shouldn't even be up for discussion as far as how many kids are you going to take care of me. And you shouldn't be thinking about the future. If you love what's right and you're paying attention to you and not to him, but keep your eye on yourself, you would know that God is going to take care of everything. There is no future or past, so there's nothing to worry about. But it's that kind of stuff that's going to bring problems into the marriage. Because you're not going to trust that he can take care of you. You're not going to believe that you can make and raise 5 children. You already have a conflict going on. Isn't that right? That's true. Y'all see the conflict? But this is in every relationship. And that's why they start out wrong and they just stay into hell. You got to trust your husband or you don't. If you're not going to trust him, then don't marry him. And if he's not going to trust you, don't marry her. And don't try to get anything, but just live, keep your eye on yourself, and the marriage can't go wrong when you keep your eye on yourself. But if you already have distrust, it's just going to be problems. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah. That is so interesting. How many kids you want when you get married, Les?
Whatever Nick says.
What?
Whatever Nick says.
She said, whatever Nick said. Well, Nick said 10. He's a Mexican.
We like big families, so.
Nice. Yes. Real fast. I'm so out of time. Yeah.
I told Alexis, my kids, they'll be eating, they'll be fine. But she doesn't know under what roof or exactly how that's going to look like.
Yes.
What you just said about the trust part, I nearly destroyed my marriage because I went into it just speculating and seeing an event happen in front of me and not trusting my husband to solve it. And we literally nearly divorced over that. And it took 4 years for me to get into alignment with him. So what you're saying is so, so true.
Isn't it amazing that you start out a marriage with no trust, and yet you try to make a marriage work knowing that you don't trust one another? Because in your thought, you say, oh, it's going to be fine. He he doesn't mean it, or she doesn't mean it, or I'll make them do it my way, or blah, blah, blah. It started out wrong. That's why it doesn't work. I'm out of time. We're going to do your super chats and things tomorrow. Thank you for your support, your donation, and all that. Bye. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all. Amazing.